What's the most common question that people ask you these days when they need to buy a new phone? That which is the best non-Chinese smartphone that we can buy? Well, my name is Shardul Kulkarni. Let's look at the review of the Samsung Galaxy M31s, the best Samsung under 20k. Samsung phones always had great designs if you consider their mid-range smartphones, and in that department the Samsung Galaxy M31s never felt me down. And at the price tag of 18,500 rupees, this smartphone has one of the best design in front of it. It means in front of this smartphone it has a 6.5-inch 1080x2400 Super AMOLED display with the refresh rate of 60Hz, and you cannot complain about this display. And I would any day pick 60Hz Samsung AMOLED or 120Hz or 90Hz IPS LCD on the phones like Poco X3 or Realme 7, which you can get in the same price range as well. And it is because this smartphone has AMOLED display, it has deep blacks and a huge screen to body ratio. Is because of that Infinity O display, and the media consumption on this device is one of the best, and there's wide L1 support. You can watch the Netflix and Amazon Prime in HDR and all of these things, and these things are important if you consider a Samsung panel. And if you never experienced a phone with Infinity O display, then you are going to love this. You will not get any problems looking at the screen outside in the sun, and it's because the proximity sensor on the phone is excellent. It automatically switches the brightness to high level. If we talked about the physical overview, then on this side you get your power button with the fingerprint scanner built into it and the volume rockers. On the top we have the noise cancelling microphone, and on the bottom there's the main microphone, speaker grill and headphone jack. Now on the back here we have a plastic bag which looks minimal, and the Samsung logo looks just stunning, I would say. And you should buy a case because it's a fingerprint magnet, and this one is especially from Jacoby Wavelet, and you can buy it from Amazon at price tag of 200 rupees, and it has proper cutouts for everything you need. And this side mounted fingerprint scanner, it is just amazing. It works perfectly for me, and it every time I touch on it, it unlocks my smartphone, and it is just great. And I never thought that side mounted fingerprint scanner works this great. And it has only one speaker on the bottom, so let's check out the sound on it. Now let's talk about the cameras. This smartphone has a quad camera setup with the 64 megapixel f1.8 main lens with the 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide angle lens plus the 5 megapixel depth sensor with the aperture of f2.4. Plus there is even 5 megapixel f2.4 macro lens, which does an excellent job by the way, and the 32 megapixel selfie lens also takes some amazing selfies. This is a pretty good camera setup which comes with all of the features and main sensors needed. If you go into the settings of the smartphones and see, then you can record the videos at 4K resolution with the rear as well as the front cameras. And this smartphone has exactly the same camera setup as the Samsung Galaxy M51, which costs 22,000 rupees, which just has 7,000 mAh battery than the 6,000 on this one. And there are even some features like slow motion, text mode, AI mode, and you can just drag the icons if you need to. Now let's look at some pictures. Let's start with this picture, and as you can see, this was shot at the normal mode, this was at 64 megapixel mode, and again this photo was with the 64 megapixel shooter, and this was with the ultra wide. Now there's no color shifting in the primary and ultra wide angle shots, so that's a good thing. And I would say that the depth sensor is doing a really good job if you see it in the shots. And now some people think that macro lenses are useless, but in this phone it actually takes pretty good photos. Just look at this picture. It does an excellent job in focusing on the main object and blurring out the background, for which the macro lenses are made. Now if you are someone who just wants a phone to shoot videos, then just say this and buy this smartphone. It's because as you can see in this video, the video quality is pretty good, but as well as it is pretty stable, and there is even an option to stable the videos more in the software. And this is one of those examples. As you can see in this video, I am moving the camera pretty fast, but it is that stable that stable mode is doing a really great job. The slow motion mode also works better than I thought it would be, but let's look at this video. Now these are some selfies which also look good, and the details are really sharp in these photos if you see it. This is the front facing camera recording from the Samsung Galaxy M31s, and I think it does a pretty good job if you see the video as well as the audio quality. Especially the audio is pretty good. It's because it has the noise cancelling microphone on the top, and it does helps in cancelling out some noise in the background, so it works pretty good. In the night shots, the camera does an excellent job of keeping the shot enlightened in the typical conditions like this one, and even the night photos in the artificial lighting does perform well. And I don't think there's even a better camera in this price range for taking the night photography shots. And this camera has a dedicated night sight or night mode, let's say, and it performs pretty well. Now the biggest competitor to this camera in this price is Poco X3, and you will get the camera comparison between these two smartphones, so make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon. Now let's talk about the performance and software. Now this smartphone comes with the Exynos 9611, and this is a Samsung 6th smartphone which comes with exactly the same chipset every time. But I think there are some differences here. So in the Call of Duty, I first tried to play the default settings, and then I saw that I can play this game at high graphics, and device tend to get a little bit warm after some time, but that's normal for every phone, and it's a pretty good thing that I can play this game at high graphics. But do not buy this device if you plan on gaming. You better go with the phones like Poco X3, which have much better Snapdragon chips which do well in gaming. It's not like this device cannot game at all, but you can play the game at medium graphics and have a much better experience. But in a day-to-day life performance, I don't think that there's any difference than other smartphones. It never gave me a single lag when since the 1 month. And doing the day-to-day life tasks like scrolling on Twitter, scrolling on Instagram are nothing at all for this CPU. But uploading big files to Instagram stories can affect the device sometimes. It stutters a little bit. Now this device came with the new version of the Samsung One UI, which was the One UI 2.5, and it is filled with a lot of the features, and there are some interesting ones. There's a dark mode which looks great on this AMOLED display, and you can even schedule the dark mode for white in the day and dark in the night. And even if this smartphone has a 6000 mAh battery, you can save the battery even more. There is a section called power mode, in which by turning on this adaptive power saving, it will automatically change the power depending upon your usage. And you can also stop the apps you do not use frequently and put them in a sleep in this section called app power management. And I have put the apps like Amazon, which I do not use that often, in here. And when I was setting up the smartphone, it installed apps like Mojo and MX Takata Chingari on its own. And here I tweeted about it, and Samsung did reply pretty weirdly, but I don't like that my phone installed the app on its own. But still, this device has some Samsung pre-installed apps like these ones, like Samsung Calendar and all. But one app which was surprisingly pretty good, and I never thought it would be, the Samsung Internet. It is pretty amazing and works pretty great and faster as well as lighter than the Google Chrome. So highly recommended. By the way, you can follow me on both the Twitter and Instagram, links in the description. Now the main feature of this smartphone is the 6000 mAh battery, and it is amazing. I got over 7 to 8 hours of screen on time with the high usage, and the device doesn't feel that heavy. It's because Samsung just nailed it in terms of the weight distribution. And today I used the camera a lot to test and get these camera samples, and when I started using, I was on 72%, but by the end of the day at almost 11 to 12 p.m. I was on 49%. Now that's a really great battery life, and you can use the device for almost 2.5 days with the normal use, and with the high usage you can get through 2 full days, and that's a pretty and really great feature of the smartphone. So that's it. If you want a phone with the great battery life, a good performance, and the best and exceptional camera, especially from the Samsung, then this is the best Samsung under 20,000. Right now it is selling at 18,500 rupees. Links in the description. This is Shardul Kulkarni signing off.